Britain and several of its allies have called for Russia's expulsion from the international police organization Interpol. Along with the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, Britain's Home Secretary Priti Patel called on Twitter on Sunday for the immediate suspension of Russia's access to all systems from Interpol. Russia's actions pose a direct threat to the security of individuals and international law enforcement cooperation, she wrote. The West is trying to isolate Russia internationally because of its war of aggression in Ukraine. The Allies have already issued numerous tough economic sanctions against Moscow and are supporting Ukraine with arms deliveries. But Priti Patel herself has been criticized recently a lot. Home Secretary Priti Patel has promised to speed up efforts to get UK visas for Ukrainian refugees fleeing the conflict in their home country after official figures showed just 50 applications had been processed. More than 1.5 million people have fled Ukraine since Russian President Vladimir Putin launched his invasion 11 days ago, with a vast majority going to neighboring countries like Poland, Slovakia, and Moldova. But according to the Home Office, around 50 visas have been allotted to Ukrainians who wanted to move to the UK under the Ukrainian Family Program from Sunday. About 5,535 online applications were completed and submitted online, and 2,368 people had booked a visa appointment to submit their application and biometric information, the government said. Officials added that 11,750 people started but did not complete an online application. The figures emerged after French Home Secretary Gérald Darmanin called the UK inhumane for turning away refugees arriving in the French port city of Calais if they don't have a valid visa. The Home Secretary said the UK is doing everything possible to speed up efforts to issue visas to Ukrainians. Ms. Patel was at the Ukraine Social Club in Holland Park in West London on Sunday afternoon, where she dropped off a bag of donations including wet wipes, nappies, and non-perishable food, before meeting volunteers helping with the relief effort. She should kick the bureaucracy out instead of doing that. When asked if it was acceptable that about 1% of applications submitted were approved in the first 48 hours of the visa program, she said, "To be clear, this is the first program in the world to be approved in such a short time and was commissioned by time." And that's a lie, by the way. I get to that later. "I deploy staff in application centers across the European Union, as well as in border countries like Poland, where I've been recently and where obviously a large number of people are coming through." She added that staff are being flown into border countries so that we can follow up and expedite applications quickly, and it's right that we are doing this. Ukrainian ambassador to the UK, Vadim Pristaiko, said the visa procedures for refugees fleeing his homeland to the UK could be simplified. And he is so right. Speaking outside the Ukrainian embassy in West London, he said, "We think some of the procedures can really be simplified. We'll sort that out later. Now we need to let in as many people as possible." And I add, like the EU does. In response to criticism from the French government, Ms. Patel said, "Let me just correct what has been said by the French government. The UK government is not turning anyone back or turning back at all. And I think it's really important to emphasize that, especially at this time when all nations across Europe have to work together to help and support people in need who are coming from Ukraine at this terrible, terrible time when they flee." Well, according to Mr. Darmanin, 400 Ukrainian refugees have reported to border checks in Calais in recent days, only to tell 150 of them to get visas at British consulates in Paris or Brussels. And I would like to put that in perspective again. Here in my hometown of Münster, with a population of a good 300,000, we have already taken in more refugees from the Ukraine than the entire United Kingdom with its more than 60 million inhabitants. In crises, the willingness to help in our city has always been great. Not only are our fellow citizens more than willing to take in more refugees from Ukraine, aid deliveries to the Polish-Ukrainian border and to others also start from here again and again. And on behalf of many, I would like to thank my colleague Jola Vogelberg, who will soon have trucks on the road as well. The people of Ukraine are suffering from a war brought upon them by a power-hungry despot. This is not the time for discussions about accepting refugees. It's time to act. And the EU is letting the Ukrainians in. We sort that out in the cities where they are. And it's not the time for bureaucracy. And I always thought, after hearing so many things about Brexit and the bad things about the EU, that the UK is against so much bureaucracy. So they are not the first letting people in, they're letting in far too few, and they are putting up high bureaucratic hurdles to prevent a lot of people of coming in. And that is not the way you deal with this now. Act, don't talk, Miss Patel. And the rest of you, I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.